eating 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. I just couldn't physically, I physically could not endure that. I hated it so freaking much, and I didn't even want to cuddle. I didn't want anything. It made my drive solo. I think that I would go months without doing anything. I think I went like, the longest time was like 3 months. Because I just hated it. I hated it. I don't know. It just made me feel sick. Like my body physically just could not do it. Like, I don't know. Hey y'all know when I'm sitting in front of this couch, I got some tea and some gems to give y'all. So hey YouTube, it's your girl Unique, and you already know it's time to hang out with me. So in today's video, I just want to tell y'all why you should never get on birth control. Whether you're already on it or what, I just want to tell y'all my experience and how it absolutely ruined my freaking life. So I have 7 tips for y'all, which I might be yapping in more than 7, but I do have 7 main key points to give y'all. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it and get started. So number 1 is, y'all, I gained the most weight I've ever gained in my entire life when I got on my birth control. And the form that I was on was Nexplanon, the implant that goes inside of your arm. And it made me gain 30 pounds. I was skinny and petite my whole entire life. And the moment that I got on there, I was just consistently eating, like binge eating, like I was never full. And I would literally gain the most weight. Like my insulin levels were so, like, it was just hard for me to lose weight. No matter how bad I worked out, all of that. Now I do work out, and it's so easy for me to like lose weight. So next one, I made me gain 30 pounds. This is my before. Like, this is how I was looking before birth control versus immediately, like, once I got it in my body. Do y'all not see the difference? I was petite my whole entire life. You know, I never surpassed 115 pounds, but when I got on Nexplanon, I was pushing 160. Okay y'all, as I'm editing this, I'm realizing the math ain't mathing, because if I gained 30 pounds and I never been past 115, that means that I was 145. So I was pushing 150. That's what I meant to say. And I'm really short, y'all. I'm 4'10", so to be 160 is actually insane. I'm 4'10", so I looked very, very compressed. My face was very chubby. I just was not slim. Even if I showed y'all my body right now, I'm very slim, very petite now. Like, I'm really tiny. Like, look at this. I'm like really small. Like, I barely have a stomach or anything, but I do work out, like I said. But yeah, so yeah, Nexplanon made me extremely big, and I hated it so freaking much. If you are on Nexplanon, I'm pretty sure y'all feel exactly what I feel or felt, because I'm no longer on. So the second one is, y'all, I had no, I want to keep it PG, so I'm gonna say libido. I think that's the right word, but I had no like drive, like at all. Like, I would be in a relationship and I just never had the one. Like, the smallest intimate touch made me physically want to throw up, and I don't know why, but I did a lot of research, and that was a common symptom of it. It just physically made me want to throw up, and it just made me want to throw up. Like, I hated it. I hate being touched, whether it's a hug, high five, anything from a person. Like, I just couldn't physically, I physically could not endure that. I hated it so freaking much, and I didn't even want to cuddle. I didn't want anything. It made my drive solo. I think that I would go months without doing anything. I think I went like, the longest time was like 3 months. Because I just hated it. I hated it. I don't know. It just made me feel sick. Like, my body physically just could not do it. Like, I don't know. The fourth thing is, I felt too little or too less. Like, there was never a time where I was actually like zen and mellow, and like my equilibrium when it came to my feelings was balanced. Either a situation made me feel OD, or a situation made me just not even care. Like, I couldn't be both, and I couldn't feel how I should have felt. Like, a person can come to me and tell me like, somebody just ate your yogurt out the fridge, and I will be bawling. I mean, literally mad. I would be crying literal tears, about to blow the house down over some yogurt, versus somebody could tell me, oh, your car just got stolen, and I'd probably be like, well, it is what it is. I either felt too less or too little. I had never felt enough. I was never able to know what my body was feeling. Like, I can't even like explain it further. It's just because I wasn't in tune. I wasn't able to be in tune with my body. Number 5 is, I got extreme motion sickness. So I couldn't sit in a car, y'all. I would get extreme motion sickness. Whenever I was in the car with anyone other than myself, I would physically feel like I'm about to throw up. There would be times where people who I was in the car with have to stop on the side of the road to let my body just chill out and mellow out for a little bit. And it got so bad to a point where I would throw up. The moment I would step foot in a car, I would just get motion sickness, like passenger seat, back seat, anything. And it would be so bad. Like, versus now, I don't get motion motion sickness like that. And it's crazy because if y'all know me, which y'all don't, but y'all gonna get to know me, I am a daredevil. Nothing puts fear in my heart when it comes to trying new things. Like I would jump off a cliff, done it before, would continue to do it. I would jump out of a helicopter, plane, anything. I will literally do anything. And so I always get on the scariest freaking roller coaster rides, all of that. Since a kid, my parents always concerned because they're like, girl, how are you not afraid of that roller coaster? And I was never afraid of the roller coaster. But it was one day where I had ended up going to an amusement park. I'm pretty sure y'all know if you're from Florida. Well, you're not, I mean, if you visited Florida, you know. I went to Busch Gardens and I had rode the, is it the Scorpion? What is it, the blue and white? Let me see. It's the Sheikra. That's what it is, the Sheikra. So if you know the Sheikra, you know that it like tilts a little bit before it goes down. So I would always want to get on that ride and be like front row seat, hands up, not holding on. I've rode the Falcon's Fury from Busch Gardens where you like lean forward and they drop you, and I never got scared. I mean, hands up, everything. But I got on that ride one day, and when I tell you I was about to literally die, like I felt like I was about to throw up, and I'm like, this is not normal for me. Like stuff like that don't bother my stomach. Ever since I was on birth control, it bothered my stomach to the T, where I physically could not be in nothing that moved an inch too quick. Like cars, roller coasters, buses, trains, bicycles, anything that was moving that I wasn't controlling, I would get motion sickness. Number 6 is I got extreme headaches, y'all. I got really bad headaches for literally nothing. I could be in bed all day and I still would have a headache, and I don't know why. Like I would get the worst headaches ever for no reason. I could eat enough, I could do a lot of things. I could not be on my phone and not watching TV, and I still somehow would get a headache, and it just did not make sense to me. I got like migraines where like you could see the veins like pulsing out of my head when I had a headache. I couldn't even open my eyes. Like I got really bad headaches. Like, anytime I was with my friends, if anything was ever wrong with me, they'd be like, you got a headache, don't you? And that's how bad it was. I would have a headache every day of my life, and it was just so bad. And I knew it was from birth control because these are all side effects. And once I got off of birth control, which I'm going to talk about the difference of my experience, none of this was a thing. So yeah, I got really bad headache. Number 7 is I had no energy for anything ever. Like no energy. I did not have energy to work out longer than 10 seconds. Like I used to not be able to be on the Stairmaster. I would work out when I was on birth control, and I was never able to progress in the gym. My cardio was extremely low. Not only was my cardio extremely low, I was just unable to progress. Like I used to progressive overload in the gym. I do that now still, but like back then I was trying to progressive overload even with like my cardio, because like the Stairmaster, I would start on like 1 minute, and that was all I can do back then. Like it was 1 minute, and it was not on a high setting. Versus now I can do up to an hour on the Stairmaster, which is actually insane to me how I was able to like push my body more. But back then I couldn't push my body more. My body was physically unable to just do extra. I never had energy. I just wanted to sleep all day, eat all day. I binge ate and binge slept. That's all my body wanted to do all freaking day. Like I don't know, the imbalance of hormones was just so bad to the point where like my body was just not acting like a human. Like I feel like that's one of the reasons, another reason like why I gained so much weight is because since I had no energy, and since I binge ate, and because birth control makes you hold weight, all of those together contributed to the factor of me gaining 30 pounds. I had no energy. Like nobody, you couldn't ask me to get up and go for a walk because baby, I ain't going. Okay, those are like the 7 things, but I did want to talk about another thing, which is number 8, is period. Y'all, my periods were a month long. Like keep in mind, my period went from 3 days to a month. When I first got the implant placed into my arm, my period was actually 2 months long. And the first month was consistent bleeding, but that second month was just spotting, minimal spotting, but it was like consistent. Like it was like every day I was spotting, and it's like, when is this gonna end? Like I would literally be buying packs of pads, like the big bulk packs, and I still would run out because that's how much I was bleeding in that first month. And then that second month I'll be spotting, and it's just like so consistent. It would literally bother me so bad. Yeah, so how you go from having 3 days to a month, like it just wasn't an adjustment that I was like okay with, which is one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I'm about to take this out. Like literally my first month I was like, I'm taking this out. But I did research, and they were telling me, they were saying like on Google and everything, that your period will go back to normal after 6 months. 6 months of having the implant, my period never went back to normal ever. Like I literally would bleed for so long, and I knew that when my period would come, it's time for me to tap out on everything that I wanted to do because I can't physically participate because of how long my periods were. My periods were just so freaking long, and my cramps were like worse. Like my worst cramps I ever had in my life came from when I was on birth control. When I get my period now, my cramps are so tolerable, I don't even need to take Tylenol. But when I was on birth control, I had to take Tylenol like every few hours to keep the pain away. But now I can manage it, and I can handle period pain, like my cramps. So yeah, my periods were extremely long, and they never really went back to normal for me until I got off of birth control, and it was just OD. Like, I didn't have that normal cycle, so like the ovulating, all of that, my body wasn't going through that. I was just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. It was just very odd for me, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay, like I want to have kids. This isn't for me anymore. There has to be another alternative without having me putting something in my body, because it just wasn't healthy for me. Like, I had to go to the hospital one time, and I just didn't know why. Come to find out, my birth control, like, it was just so bad. So there's that. And I want to talk about like my experience off of birth control, so y'all can get like a gist of, you know, how I feel now and all of that. So I really have no brain fog. Y'all, I had the worst brain fog when I was on birth control. Like, I couldn't think. Like, my brain was just always foggy, and a lot of different thoughts just consuming my brain on a day-to-day that I just couldn't tolerate or I couldn't handle. And because of that, it just made everything a lot worse for me, because I was already going through so much, and birth control just made it worse. Second of all, I wasn't in tune with my emotions, and now I am. I feel very light and not heavy like I did before. Birth control made me have like no energy boost. Like, y'all know around that time of your cycle when you have that energy boost, you want to be very productive. I had no energy boost. I felt like I was being depleted and drained the entire duration of me on the birth, like on the implant, and I was on it for I think 2 years. I had no energy, but now I have energy. Like, I can wake up and do the things I need to do, but I do still have my days where I don't want to, versus on birth control having those days every day, which is not wanting to every single day, which I hate so much. Also, I can feel my emotions now and let them go, versus when I was on birth control, I would go through something and I would be so like defeated. Like, I felt defeated when I was on it, because I couldn't handle those emotions. Like, they were just so strong. Like, I had the tools mentally to handle them, but I just wasn't able to like bypass whatever the fuck my brain was feeling because of that hormone in my body. And I always want to learn about me more and more, as like every day, like, I'm my biggest project. Like, I love to build upon me, but I wasn't able to do that on birth control. Like, I was able to research and get the knowledge, but I wasn't able to implement it because my brain was just like against me. Like, it was fighting against me. Like, that's all I felt. I can feel my feelings now, and I don't feel too less or too much. I feel the amount that I need to feel to be able to move forward and progress in life. The next thing I want to talk about is libido. TMI, y'all, but ever since I've been off of that birth control, baby, I cannot sit down. And it's so crazy because I'm single, so like I have to force myself to sit down. But when I was on birth control, I never wanted to do anything ever. But now that's all I can think about some days. But I have a lot of self-control, so I just like be like, okay, like whatever, you good. We finna watch TV or something. But like, other than that, y'all, it went from being a 0 to a 1 million, which I was lying. And I literally Googled it because it was like abnormally too much. Like, it was just too much, something I wasn't used to. So I Googled it, and everybody who gets off, I read who got off of the implant, they've been a jackrabbit. They can't settle down. They're like, oh my God, because they're in relationships. All the people that I read, they were all in relationships. But me, I'm not, so I can't be out here doing stuff. So everybody who I read just could not sit themselves down. Like, they couldn't calm themselves down. It was always on go, on go, on go. And I read this one girl who lasted for years, and that's just how she is now. It's been, what, 8 months for me off of birth control, so I can speak on my experience. And baby, it hasn't settled down. From the moment I got it out my arm till now, it's been on 1 million ever since. Like, that's all I think about sometimes, and it's really annoying, but I can control myself, so I'm not constantly irritated no more. I used to be constantly irritated to the point where like everything would piss me off, but nothing really upsets me like that no more. I'm very chilled out. Like, I don't really get headaches like that no more unless I don't eat or I'm on my phone too long. And at that point, I know that my body is telling me that something gotta give and you need to change up what you're doing because you're hurting me right now. So yeah, I didn't really have any perks. I was just killing my body. For what? Like, it just didn't make sense to me, and I'm much more happier with my body, with my life, than I was back then. I was very insecure about my body back then, like very, very much so insecure. Now I'm not, which is really great because I don't have to like stress myself out looking in the mirror like, bro, you're gaining all this weight, da da da. I'm gonna put so many clips and so many videos on the screen. My face was just puffy, it was just inflamed, it was just big. And I did change my diet a little bit since I've been off birth control, so I know that plays a huge factor. But back then, I just looked defeated. like I was eating 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. And I would never stop. It got to a point where people used to call me Mighty Mouse because I was a little girl, but I was just eating and I could not just stop eating. I was eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, baby. That's all I did. 24/7. It's 8. Yeah, no, don't be like me. If you're gonna get on birth control, make sure that it's something that you can stop if need be. Cause I had to go get this surgically like removed out of my arm. Like they had to like operate on my arm. It was scary. It didn't hurt, but it was scary. I don't have any perks, no positives about this birth control, like at all. Like 0, zip, nada, not now. So yeah, take what you please with a grain of salt. Everybody's body is different, but I just wanted to come on here and tell y'all my experience. And yeah, like I like to be natural and I like to take care of my body because you only get one, and you're the first person you learn how to take care of. And I know that I can't take care of my man and myself and my kids and my household when it's time if I can't even learn to take care of me for real. Like if I don't learn to take care of me now, I'm not gonna be able to take care of myself later when I decide to do all that stuff. That's why I said me twice. But yeah, like I like to be in tune with my body now. I like to know about me versus being off a drug that's in my body, telling my body what to do and when to do it. I can't even control myself. Like I don't really like that, you know? I don't like the way it made me feel. So yeah, that's my experience on Nexplanon. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all have any questions or comments, make sure y'all leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them. If I didn't answer any of them in this video, I can go ahead and make a part 2 if y'all need me to, or I can just answer the comments. Like that's, yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos and I'll see y'all in episode 3. Bye y'all.